Hi, folks. You were Tacitus today. Excuse me, Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about a subject I've actually covered a few times before, and which is women who believe it's quite acceptable to screw the college professor or the college lecturer in order to get good grades. This is not just an issue of getting laid. I think it's effectively an exchange of sexual services in return for getting a much better grade than somebody would get just through their own ability and their hard work and so on. Now, I've come across a few women who are like this, and they're unashamed, unabashed, not even a whit of conscience about it. And given the amount of women that I know and the amount of them who, they're in their 50s today, the amount of them that have screwed or did screw or get intimate with the college professor in exchange for good grades. I mean, let's not call this a romance per se, where we're talking about an average of a 40-year-old lecturer or professor and a 20-year-old student. So we're talking that type of age difference. So we're just a few days ago, we were there was some people we know, and they had some friends come over, and the woman was certainly not shy in putting the wine away, and so she started to probably talk about things in a frank sort of way that she may not if she was sober, but anyway, she was going for it, and she was talking about how 20 or 25 years ago or whatever, when she was at college, she was a party girl. She liked going out. She liked having a good time. She liked to she described there was a list of guys that she wanted to fuck, and while she was at the university, and she was in some bullshit sociology thing, but she switched to another course which is a bit more exacting, and then she realized she was actually going to have to do some work. Now, she's a straight white lady, so affirmative action hadn't quite cut in fully at that point. So when she looked at the amount of work and study and how much she was going to have to hit the books to get a decent grade, she looked at that, then looked at the partying and looked at good time she wanted to have, and thought, well, screw that. How can I party and have the good time and get the good grades, but without doing the work and without, so, okay, the only way is to, so she again, this is very premeditated. I mean, she would have been quite a good looking, young woman, I think. Just looking at her now in her, she's in her 50s now, so it must have been like 30 years ago. But she would have been okay looking. I don't think she would have been a stunning hot piece of ass or anything, but good looking enough. And again, she describes the professor in very disparaging terms. He's naive, he's geeky, he's stupid, he's got very few social skills, and she works out that she can easily control him and run rings around him. And her as a 20-year-old and him as a 40-year-old, but she sees herself as the superior controlling partner in the relationship. Now, just so happens he has the power to give her good grades, so she's just got to get him to give her those grades, and she's going to give him hand jobs in his office and blow jobs, whatever, give him whatever he needed to get what he wants, get what she wants. So anyway, she does that. She again is unabashed. She talks about it like, well, everybody was doing it. Any girl who was decent looking and had a naive, controllable professor at hand would do it. There were, she was saying there are some professors there who were really self-confident. They knew how, the rules of the game. They could get any girl they wanted. They had hot chicks hanging off them left, right. Those guys you couldn't control. There's no way you could get them to give you a good grade, because but if you get the naive, geeky guy who still lives with his his mom, that sort of thing, then they were easy, fair game. So these young women were out there. They were predators. Let's call it what it is. They were aggressive predators looking for easy meat to make sure they could have a trouble-free path to a good grade without having to do any of the work. Now, she admits she wasn't smart enough to get a good grade or even pass at all. So the only thing she had was, and she described how she did it, wearing plunging necklines and short skirts and, all that sort of stuff in order to get the guy. And this is a guy who sort of couldn't get laid of his own accord. Anyway, her daughter's now at university, and she was saying, well, my daughter's even dumber than I was, and but she's like got involved in engineering or something, and so the daughter's doing the same thing with the mother's full support. In fact, you get the impression the mother actually gave the daughter advice on how to go about it. Didn't say that directly, but certainly the impression I got. So the daughter, who I haven't seen, so I don't know if she's anything to look at or not, but the daughter's doing this with the mother's full support. But not only that, the mother's arguing, look, it's a tough world out there. My daughter wants to have a good time, that she's going to learn a lot of life lessons there on how to deal with men and how to control social situations. She's going to have all that. And that's where she should put her time. This getting a degree is bullshit. So we have to do it. We have to go through it in order to have that bit of paper that's a passport to getting to the interviews to get the good job. But that's all it is. So I was sort of arguing, well, look, don't you think while you're there at university anyway, why not work hard? I mean, you're there. You're doing. Well, why not put the study in, and why not do the hard work? Why not hit the books? And come out a truly by any measure, by any independent measure, a merit-based, truly qualified person in that field of endeavor. And she thought that was funny. She thought, well, you delusional little fuck, what are you? So her view was that's nonsense. The social life and the social skills and learning how to drink more alcohol and not fall over. Those are the things you need to learn. And those are the things you should do. She's young. She should have a good time. She's only young. I mean, you're only young once. You've got to have a life. So she has a good time, goes out with her friends and, dates different guys. And that's, wow. So the shortcut to getting a good grade is to give the lecturer, hand jobs. So if that's what you got to do, then why not? And if the lecturer's so stupid and useless and hopeless that he's so easily bought off with a few hand jobs and is prepared to corrupt himself in giving good grades to somebody who wouldn't even, an affirmative action student, in effect, who wouldn't even make it into the course in the real world. But if that lecturer is so easily bought off and corrupted by a few hand jobs, then, that's his problem. Then he's at fault, not her. And so on. And so she was openly and quite brazenly arguing this is how it's been done, but how it should be done. But this is, again, given the amount of women that I know who got degrees and who, young or old, by the way, and who take this view that screwing the professor or giving the lecturer hand jobs, that's how you get the degree or a good pass. Not doing the hard work or doing the hitting the books or anything like that. Given the amount of women that I know, and of that amount of women, the amount of women who've done this, then I've got to assume it's seriously widespread. Now, again, they argue that for the unattractive girls, it was too bad because the lecturer wasn't interested anyway. But this one woman I'm thinking of, she used to wear ass cheek short dresses, and she said she had great legs, and that was she could get any guy she wanted, just so and okay, let's assume that's true. Then that in itself, though, is an indication of how widespread that any decent looking girl can, and a naive lecturer, a mommy's boy who still lives with his mum, they can easily control those sort of those sort of geeky type men. But anyway, I'm of the view now that it's very widespread. Probably doesn't go beyond good-looking girls. You know, like you've got to have a certain amount of good looks and sexuality to pull it off. But even so, you know, if you're a geeky guy who can't get laid, then you know your threshold, you know, the bar is probably pretty low anyway as to what you might consider attractive or sexy. You've been a Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.